Cars are an integral part of our lives. We use them to get to work, to go on road trips, and even as status symbols and as assets and investments. But there's a lot more about cars that changed history and the world as we know it today. Today I got some really exciting and bizarre facts for all the car enthusiasts out there that are sure to blow your mind. Number of cars in the world. Did you know that there are currently 1.446 billion cars in the world right now? And you probably own one of them? Why are cars called cars? Let's start with a bit of history. Ever wonder why cars are even called cars? Well, the word car comes from the Latin word carus, which was the name for a two-wheeled wagon. The first cars that were built in 1895 were essentially meant to be horseless carriages, which is how and why the name came about. The existence of cars was predicted by a monk in the 1200s. A Franciscan friar called Roger Bacon, who lived between 1214 and 1292, reportedly mentioned in one of his documents that cars can be made so that without animals they will move with unbelievable rapidity. He is also known to have predicted airplanes, steamships, submarines, and wait for it, scuba diving suits. Da Vinci's car. You probably never studied this in school. Leonardo da Vinci is believed to have invented the first car in 1478. He never actually constructed it, but designed a self-propelled car on paper. A replica of his car was built in 2004 and kept in the Institute and Museum of the History of Science in Florence, Italy. The first EV was designed in 1884. EVs are not a modern concept. How shocking is that? The first ever electric car was actually designed in 1884 by English inventor Thomas Parker. 1 horsepower does not mean the power of 1 horse. The power of a car's engine is measured in horsepower, but it does not mean that a car is as strong as the same number of horses. The term horsepower came about in the 1700s, when inventor James Watt, who invented steam engines, estimated that an average pony produced 22,000 foot-pounds of work each minute, and figured out a mathematical way to equate it to engine power. Porsche's first car was an EV. Ferdinand Porsche's first design was when he was 22 in 1895, was the Egger Lunar Electric Vehicle C2 Phaeton model, which was nicknamed the P1. It had 49-mile driving range and could go up to 21 miles per hour, but remained unworked upon in a shed in Austria until 2014. The first car for the masses was a Ford. Henry Ford developed the Model T that became the first car available to the masses in 1908. It was a low-cost car that was sold for $850 in 1908 and $260 in 1925. The first best-selling car. The success and popularity of the Model T was so immense that over 15 million units were sold during its production between 1908 and 1927. The world's best-selling car. The Ford Model T remained the best-selling car in history until 1972, when it was surpassed by the Volkswagen Beetle. Hitler designed the Volkswagen Beetle. How many of you know that the original Volkswagen Beetle was designed by Adolf Hitler? As controversial and unreal as it sounds, it's true. He was inspired by Henry Ford and ordered German car maker Dr. Ferdinand Porsche to develop the people's car, or Volkswagen. Volkswagen names are based on natural elements. Jetta means jet stream, Passa means trade winds, and Polo means polar winds. That's pretty insightful. A war treaty prompted the production of BMW cars. The Treaty of Versailles prohibited all German automobile manufacturers from constructing aircraft and related accessories that could aid in World War I. This led BMW to manufacture cars, and it produced the Dixie in 1929. The first car radio was introduced by Chevrolet. Chevrolet introduced the first car radio in 1922, but the American government wanted to ban it because it was considered to be a potential distraction from driving. Thankfully, the ban did not take place, and most vehicles had radios in them by 1963. All Ford Model Ts are black. After 1914, Henry Ford decided to make all Model Ts black for production efficiency, as black paint dried faster and was also durable and cheap. The windshield wiper was invented by a female passenger. While traveling through New York City in a trolley car on a snowy day in the early 1900s, a woman called Mary Anderson came up with the idea of a device to wipe the screen of the car while being operated from inside by the driver instead of the driver having to open the window or stop the car and clean the windscreens. Her invention was patented by 1903, but it took several years for it to become a standard feature of cars. The first windshield wipers were luxury items. After its invention, and as driving became more common, the windshield wiper was eventually adapted for automotive use. In 1922, Cadillac began installing the wiper as a piece of standard equipment on its cars, and other car companies followed suit. The first cars did not have a key ignition. Drivers of the very first cars had to wind a crank to start the engine until the ignition key was invented in 1949 by Chrysler. The first dashboard was not in a car. The original dashboard was a wooden or leather barrier that was fixed to the front of a horse-drawn carriage to protect the driver from mud splatters from the horse's hooves. Rear view mirrors originally had a funny name. The first widely distributed rear view mirrors for cars was actually marketed as cop spotters in 1920. The world's first automobile race had a winning speed of 15 miles per hour. As laughable as that sounds, 15 miles per hour was the winning speed at the first ever car race in 1895. Don't you feel better being alive at a time when electric cars exist? The fastest car in the world. Not many people heard of the Rimac Nevera, but this electric car just so happens to hold the title of the world's fastest car. It can go to 60 miles per hour from a standstill in 1.85 seconds, has a top speed of 258 miles per hour, and cost about $2.2 million. A car has even broken the sound barrier. The Thrust SSC was the first car to break the sound barrier at 763 miles per hour in 1997. The feat was accomplished at 100 miles per hour by Andy Green in Black Rock Desert, Nevada. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, it was the fastest land speed by a car. The slowest car in the world. The Peel P50 has a top speed of 38 miles per hour and looks like a kiddie car. This three-wheeler holds the Guinness World Record for being the smallest production vehicle ever made, at 54 inches long and 39 inches wide. The most expensive car in the world. The hypercar Bugatti Chiron Super Sport currently holds the title of the most expensive car in the world. It is worth $3.3 million and not too long ago dethroned the Rolls-Royce boat tail that has a price tag of $28 million. The world's cheapest car, made by the Indian automotive giant Tata Motors. The Tata Nano is the world's cheapest car and costs a little over $3,000. Sadly, it is now out of production. Most car horns honk in the key of F. Unless you know music real good, you probably never know that most car horns sound the same because they're mostly in the keys of F and F sharp. Ford made cars in 24 seconds. Ford built more than 15 million cars between 1909 and 1927. At first, the Model T took 12 hours to be assembled, but the assembly line technique cut this time to 8 minutes for each car in 1913. And finally, in 1927, it was able to make the Model T in just 24 seconds. The average car has around 30,000 parts. Most cars typically have about 30,000 parts, including the tiniest nuts and bolts you've ever seen. 80% of the average car is recyclable. The automobile is the most recycled product in the world, thanks to the ingenuity of its parts and being created from recyclable materials. The car is the world's most recycled product. Cars are made mostly of plastics and metals and other sustainable products, and more manufacturers have taken to making their cars from materials that can be recycled and reused to reduce costs and waste. Ford made a car from soybeans. Henry Ford built a laboratory where scientists converted ground soybean meal into strong and durable plastic that was made into small plastic car parts. By 1933, experiments at his lab even produced soybean-based oils and paints for the Ford Motor Company. Whale oil was used as a car fuel. Sperm whale oil was used by auto industry in automatic transmission fluid until 1973, when it was banned by the Endangered Species Act. Car fuel can be made from sugarcane. Ethanol is clean, affordable, and low-carbon biofuel that is produced by the fermentation of sugarcane, juice, and molasses, and is now a leading renewable automobile fuel. Cars can run on coffee. In March 2010, a 1988 Volkswagen Scirocco traveled 209 miles on fuel made from coffee grounds, and also made history for the longest journey by a coffee-powered car. Guinness World Records nicknamed it Carpuccino, and it works on heated coffee grounds mixed with charcoal. Cars can also run on salt water. The NanoFlow Cell's Quant eSports Limousine is a luxury sports car that was made in Germany in 2014 and runs on a special type of fuel made from salt water. It can accelerate to 62 miles per hour in just 2.8 seconds. Personally, I think this car should be mass-produced for coastal and developing countries. Ever heard of LG as a car fuel? The Elgeus, the world's first LG-powered plug-in hybrid car, was introduced in 2009. The company that made it, Sapphire Energy, claims that the plug-in hybrid Toyota Prius can make an entire coast-to-coast cross-country trip on just 25 gallons of fuel. LG Fuel is a new concept, and it is even more expensive than gasoline. The good news is that energy companies are now working on reducing costs to be able to power more vehicles with little green organisms. There is a Lego car that runs on air. There is a life-size hot rod made of 500,000 Lego pieces and a few load-bearing elements that is powered by air, and it is constructed almost entirely from Lego bricks. Although it is hard to believe, it has 4 orbital engines that are also made of Lego bricks. The car has 256 pistons that allow it to run on air, and it has been driven at a speed of 20 miles per hour. Britain made a real car out of chocolate and vegetables. I bet you didn't know that a real car made of chocolate and vegetables was actually made in Britain in 2009, called the Echo F3. The University of Warwick made this Formula 3 car from potatoes and soybean form, and gave it a steering wheel made from carrots. The materials of the outer bodywork was derived from potatoes, and interior seat made from soybeans, giving the term eco-friendly a whole new meaning. The car also had a biodiesel engine that was fueled by chocolate extracts and vegetable oil, and its moving parts had plant-based lubricants. Volvo went green in 1970s. Catalytic converters are one of the most important inventions in automotive history, and Volvo is credited with developing them to control exhaust emissions and reduce pollution from cars in the early 1970s. Cassette players were dropped from cars in 2011. The last car produced with a cassette player was a Ford Crown Victoria in 2011. More people in the developing world prefer EVs. Would you believe that over 2.3 million electric cars were sold in the first quarter of 2023, and this number is steadily growing? Buying cars can become an obsession. Although cars are a necessity for billions of people around the world, they're also a luxury and wealth symbol obsession for some, with many owning car collections that include both the latest and vintage models and everything in between. Denmark is one of the most expensive countries to buy a new car. People in Denmark would probably have a hard time keeping car collections because the country's automobile authorities collect 150% tax on all new car purchases, but it is reportedly considering reducing it to 100%. China-made cars are taking over the world. Bloomberg reported earlier this year that China is closing in on surpassing the US and South Korea to become the second highest exporter of passenger vehicles. But really, is that really surprising? If any country knows how to dominate a market, it's China. White is the most popular car color. Studies have shown that white happens to be the majority of people's top choice when they buy cars, and this is plain to see on the roads as well. We're talking about ordinary folks here, not the ones with huge and fancy car collections. The safest car colors. An Australian study shows that white vehicles are 10% less likely to be involved in an accident. It is also one of the safest colors because it reflects lights in all conditions and is easily visible in all kinds of weather and lighting. Studies also show that cars that have bright and bold colors are generally the safest because they stand out in all weather conditions. Yellow and orange cars have been found to be particularly safe because they're a lot easier to spot. Toyota Corolla is the world's best-selling car. Toyota makes 13,000 units every day. The Corolla is sold in over 150 countries and regions, and the Toyota sells one Corolla every 15 seconds. It has sold more than 43 million Corollas since 1963, and the model is extremely popular because it is widely available all over the world, is regularly updated and improved each year, has great gas mileage, and is very reliable. Most valued car brands. Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Honda, and Ford are among the world's most valued car brands, and for good reason. They have been around the longest and are always updating their technology and models for both the common man and elite buyers. There are 10 million EVs in use globally. EVs make up 0.7% of the total number of cars in the world, and the total number of in-use EVs is currently 10 million. Believe it or not, this percentage is expected to increase to 7% by 2030. Norway is the largest electric car market. Until 2019, China had the world's largest electric car market, but as of 2022, Norway has had a record number of 80% EV sales. New car smell is toxic. Have you ever smelled the inside of a new car? A lot of people love it and find it addictive. However, what many people don't know is that the new car smell is actually the smell of more than 275 organic compounds that are used to manufacture the car, and studies have shown that it is associated with birth defects, liver problems, and cancer. What are car lights called? Everyone knows how important it is to have fully functional car lights, but do you know that car lights are different from what most people think they are? A headlamp is a device that is attached to the front of the vehicle and illuminates the road, while a headlight is the beam of light produced by a headlamp. Seatbelt safety. Seatbelts were invented by Volvo, but unlike other original car parts, they weren't patented so that they could be made more available for safety purposes by other car manufacturers as well. Cruise control was developed by a blind man. The mechanical engineer behind the invention of cruise control, or the speedostat, was Ralph Teeter, who had lost his vision when he was 5 years old. Teeter would observe his lawyer accelerate his car by listening to the sounds of the car and how he slowed down when talking. The unstable motion bothered Teeter, who then went on to design a device that could control the speed of a car using magnets and springs. Google developed a self-driving car. Self-driving cars are a good idea, especially for people who can't drive and differently abled people. They use maps and sophisticated technology to be driven unmanned, and researchers agree that they can even reduce road accidents. Google invented self-driving automobile technology at the Google X Lab in 2009 and renamed it Waymo in 2016. Self-driven cars are no longer a futuristic dream of the past, as Nevada was the first US state to issue licenses for self-driving cars in 2012. Vulcanization makes tires durable. Vulcanization is a process of chemically converting natural rubber into more durable materials. The process was invented by Charles Goodyear when he was in jail and was experimenting and accidentally dropped a piece of rubber on a hot stove and it became black and tough. Men are worse drivers. Facts. Data from the US Department of Transportation showed that crashes male drivers are often involved in more severe accidents than female drivers, and that more men than women die each year in motor vehicle crashes. Fast and Furious police cars. Dubai officially has the world's fastest police car, a Bugatti Veyron, which is one of its fleet of 14 supercars. The Veyron has a 16-cylinder engine that produces 1,000 horsepower and boasts a top speed of 253 miles per hour. The most expensive speeding ticket is $1 million. The record for the world's most expensive speed ticket fine belongs to a Swede for driving his Mercedes SLS AMG sports car at 180 miles per hour in Sweden. His fine was calculated based on a combination of his income and recorded speed. Dirty car crime. Driving a dirty car is considered illegal in some countries, including Russia, Belarus, Spain, and the UAE. South African BMWs have flamethrowers. South African inventor Charles Fourie invented the blaster, also called the BMW flamethrower, in 1998 as a car-mounted, laterally firing flamethrower to defend BMWs against from being stolen. There is a French car that you can drive without a license. France has a category of a type of car that anyone aged 14 or over can drive without a license. Commonly known as a VSP, it is a two-seater and is known for several names: voitures, little cars, light quadricycles, and pots de yacht, yogurt pots. Roundabouts reduce car accidents. Roundabouts reduce fatalities from accidents by about 90% and also lower wait times while saving fuel. It is illegal to buy a car directly from a manufacturer in some US states. Some American car dealerships have contracts with manufacturers according to which people must buy cars through them instead of the actual manufacturing company. The Rolls-Royce wheel logo is always upright. Unlike wheel logos from companies such as Audi, Mercedes, and BMW, the Rolls-Royce wheel logo doesn't rotate with the wheel. Audi's name. Mechanical engineer August Horsch found his own business called August Horsch NC in 1899, but left it in 1909 and established another company in 1909 that was given a new name, Audi Automobil Werke, GmbH, by translating Horsch's German name meaning hark into the Latin word for listen. Audi's logo symbolizes a company merger. The four interlocking rings that make up Audi's logo symbolize the merger of four German automobile manufacturers, Audi, DKW, Horch, and Wanderer. Meaning of Volvo. Volvo is Latin for I roll and is linked to iron ball bearings, which were the parent company's first product. Meaning of the Volvo logo. Volvo's logo is a circle with an arrow pointing out, which is an ancient chemical symbol for iron and was intended to represent the brand's strength and resiliency. The color blue and use of chrome was later added, portraying class and stability. Meaning of Mercedes-Benz logo. This iconic three-pointed star logo represents the company's dominance of sea, air, and land. Meaning of the Ferrari logo. The horse emblem with a bright yellow color in the background was born when Enzo Ferrari was asked to paint a prancing horse on his vehicles in honor of fighter pilot and World War I hero Count Francesco Baracca, who had a similar horse painted on his plane. Ferrari makes engines with music. Have you ever been turned on by the sound of an engine revving? Well, it's no secret that many people are, and Ferrari actually makes sure that its cars have this appeal, which is why its engines are engineered musically to create the perfect sound. BMW fakes its engine sounds. On the other hand, the BMW M5's engine is so quiet that the company includes fake engine noises to be played on the car's speaker to remind drivers of the real experience of driving it and the engine's performance. Electric cars make fake noises. EVs are quieter than traditional cars, and some are even perfectly soundless. This can be a road safety hazard, which is why many countries require all newly produced EVs to have fake sound speakers that will make sound like regular cars to alert pedestrians and cyclists that a vehicle is approaching. An electric car is heavier than a conventional car. Because they are less noisier and smarter looking than regular cars, you might think that electric cars are lighter as well, but the truth is that they are 10 to 25% heavier because of the size of the battery. Electric cars are faster than other cars. Another cool fact about electric cars is that they are faster than regular cars because the electric motor instantly generates 100% of available torque that allows an electric car to zip from being stationary to an instantaneous speed. Braking benefits electric cars. Electric cars have regenerative braking, and every time the driver steps on the brake, a tiny amount of electricity goes back into the battery and increases the car's driving range on a single charge. In other words, braking adds miles to its range. Electric cars have a low maintenance cost. Electric cars have fewer moving parts than regular cars, because of which they require less maintenance. This allows electric car owners to save money on things like oil changes, engine repairs, and other routine maintenance that are typical for regular cars. Electric cars have longer lifespans than regular cars. You're probably convinced by now that it's better to have an electric car because they have fewer moving parts and require less maintenance. They happen to be more durable and reliable. Tesla is America's most popular EV car brand. Tesla holds nearly 80% of the EV market in the US and has been a leader for the American EV industry since it launched the Model S in 2013. In 2020, 79% of all people of the US who bought EVs chose Tesla, and this trust in the company continues to grow under Elon Musk. Tesla's best-selling model is the world's best-selling electric car. Meanwhile, Tesla also happens to be the world's leading EV manufacturer, and its Model Y is currently the top-selling electric car all over the world. The Tesla Model X has a bioweapon defense mode. Tesla has equipped its Model X with bioweapon defense mode, which is a state-of-the-art air filtration system designed to protect drivers and passengers from various air pollutants and to contribute to a cleaner environment. Tesla cars have a dog mode. No, the dog mode does not turn the car into a dog or make it bark instead of honk. It's a climate control feature designed for pets. Land Rover's unusual steering wheel placement. Land Rover's first steering wheel was placed in the middle of the dashboard and was called the center steer because the vehicle was initially intended to be an agricultural truck, and it was thought that the tractor-driving farmers would be more familiar with it and find it convenient. The land of Land Rover is in India. Land Rovers was brought to India in 1950s by British tea planters who chose to stay back after India's independence from British rule in 1947. They were used as the mode of transportation in the tea gardens of Darjeeling. Today, the town of Darjeeling is still running Land Rovers that are more than 50 years old. The British royal family is associated with Land Rover and Jaguar. Jaguar and Land Rover were the only automotive manufacturers to hold all three royal warrants from the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, and the Prince of Wales. The safest SUV. The Land Rover Defender is the safest SUV on the road. It scored 85% in adult and child occupant protection, 79% in safety assistant, and 71% in vulnerable road users, and also has a 5-star rating. Holding a key fob to your head extends its unlocking range. This tech magic is actually because of the fluid in your skull. The electromagnetic waves from the fob pass through the water molecules and make them radiate energy at the same frequency as the original signal, and this strange phenomena amplifies the range of the signal. Highway hypnosis is real. Highway hypnosis is a phenomenon that causes you to go into a trance-like state while driving and you to respond to external stimuli properly but end up with no memory of it. You can drive a modern Formula 1 car upside down in a tunnel. You've seen cars being driven upside down in cartoons, but the same can be done in real life. A modern Formula 1 car can develop 3.1 grams lateral Corning force because of the aerodynamic downforce, and because of this principle, it can theoretically be driven upside down at high speeds. You can fit 13 people into a smart car. Well, squish, not fit. In 2008, a total of 13 contortionists managed to climb aboard a smart Fortwo at the annual Smart Destination Brooklands event at Mercedes-Benz World in the UK. The micro smart car was 2.7 meters long and 1.6 meters wide. Your car needs only an ounce of gasoline to start. According to research, the average car takes about only half an ounce of gasoline to start, but that doesn't mean you can risk driving around on a nearly empty tank, because consistently low gasoline levels can cause serious problems to the car. It takes 115 million code lines to control the Ford F-150. Coding isn't limited to computers and smartphones anymore, and also extends to smart cars and pretty much all cutting-edge cars today. Many of their programming involves at least 100 million code lines, but the highest number of code lines is currently for the Ford F-150, whose system is running using a whopping 150 million code lines. Modern cars have self-cleaning windows. A cool new innovation to the age-old windshield that makes keeping cars clean and safe is hydrophobic windows. These self-cleaning windows automatically repel liquids, dirt, and dust through the hydrolysis process and also provide better visibility in harsh weather conditions. Honda makes interiors from plant fibers. Honda has developed an eco-friendly fabric called the Honda Baby Biofabric that it makes from plants and uses to make the interiors of its cars. Cars can dance. This is only a treat for the owners of Tesla Model X. Has a dance configuration. When the dance feature is activated, the Tesla starts playing music, the doors open up and move up and down to the beat, and even the front headlights and the taillights create a light show to the music. Cars can tell when you're sleepy. This new feature helps to prevent road accidents that occur when drivers nod off at the wheel. Several manufacturers, including Audi, Mercedes, and Volvo, currently offer drowsiness detection systems that use cameras, eye-tracking sensors, and other hardware to monitor the driving input, and external cues to alert the driver. You can talk to cars. Car tech isn't yet to the point where you can have a conversation with your car like he did, but some new cars have a voice recognition system that allows them to perform a variety of tasks and even relay information to the driver. Cars can park themselves. The Tesla Model S, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, the BMW i3, the Lincoln MKS, the Toyota Prius, the Ford Focus, the Chrysler 200, and the Chevrolet Malibu all have systems that use an acoustic radar, ultrasound, and a range of different signals to park themselves without manual input. Car seats can give you a variety of massages. If you have the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, its seat can help you relax by treating you to several kinds of massages, including a workout massage and a hot stone massage while you drive. The best part is that the feature is slowly being added to cars on the economic spectrum as well. How many of these crazy car facts did you know? Tell me the ones you liked in the comments below, and don't forget to share what you think this list needs as well. Keep watching this channel for more awesome content like this.